First Contact's Price. Captain Elena Santos stood at the observation deck of the ESS Hyperion, Earth's flagship diplomatic vessel, watching the strange geometric patterns dancing across her ship's quantum shields. The alien scanning beam was unlike anything humanity had encountered in their brief venture into deep space. It felt almost alive, probing not just the ship's systems, but something deeper. Captain. Lieutenant Chen's voice crackled through the comm. The entity is requesting to board. Their energy signature, it's unlike anything in our database. Elena straightened her midnight blue diplomatic uniform, adorned with the silver Earth Unity insignia. 20 years of first contact scenarios hadn't prepared her for this moment. The entity had appeared from nowhere, its ship, if you could call it that, a crystalline structure that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "Grant them access," she ordered, her voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. Main conference room. As she walked through the Hyperion's corridors, Elena felt reality twist around her. The ship's lights flickered, casting impossible shadows that moved against the light. When she entered the conference room, she found it transformed. The sterile military space had become something ancient, its walls showing glimpses of distant galaxies and dying stars. In the center stood the entity. It appeared humanoid only in the vaguest sense, its form composed of interconnected threads of light that constantly rewove themselves into new patterns. Where its face should have been, Elena saw a tapestry of cosmic events, stars being born, galaxies colliding, the dance of creation itself. Captain Elena Santos, it spoke, its voice resonating not through air, but through the fabric of reality itself. "We have watched your species with great interest." Elena maintained her diplomatic composure, though her mind raced with questions. "On behalf of Earth, I welcome you, though I suspect you're not here for standard diplomatic relations." The entity's form shifted, and Elena saw glimpses of humanity's history woven into its pattern, from the first use of fire to their recent quantum breakthrough. "Your species stands at a crossroads. The Galactic Council has noticed your potential. They fear it." The Council. Elena had heard whispers from other spacefaring races, but information was scarce. They style themselves as guardians of order. The entity's form darkened, showing scenes of countless civilizations falling to carefully orchestrated natural disasters and technological accidents. In truth, they are architects of stagnation. They have ruled for millions of years by eliminating any species that might one day challenge their authority. Elena's jaw tightened, and humanity has caught their attention. Your adaptability, your creativity, your endless drive to push boundaries. These qualities make you dangerous in their eyes. They will not allow your civilization to continue uncontrolled. What are our options? The entity moved closer, its light casting no shadow. I offer another path. I am the weaver, an aspect of creation itself. For billions of years, I have watched the Council twist my patterns, forcing the cosmos into their rigid design. It is time for change. Elena felt something vast and ancient brush against her consciousness. What exactly are you offering? Become my avatar. Merge with the essence of creation itself. You will retain your humanity, but gain the power to protect your species and challenge the Council's dominion. There must be a catch, Elena said, her diplomatic training screaming that this was too good to be true. The Weaver's form showed scenes of cosmic forces beyond human comprehension. The merger will change you fundamentally. You will perceive reality as I do, seeing the threads that bind existence together. You will feel the pain of every pattern you unravel. Bear witness to both creation and destruction on a cosmic scale. Your old life, as you know it, will end. Elena thought of Earth, of humanity's dreams of reaching the stars. If the Council had their way, those dreams would be systematically destroyed. If I refuse, then humanity faces the Council alone. Their peacekeepers will arrive within months. Best case scenario, Earth becomes a controlled experiment, your development carefully monitored and limited. Worst case, they decide humanity is too unstable to risk leaving alive. Elena moved to the window, watching her ship's crew going about their duties, unaware of how their fate hung in the balance. Why me? Your diplomatic skills, your military training, your ability to see patterns others miss. These make you suitable. But it was your core quality that made you perfect, your willingness to sacrifice everything to protect others, combined with the wisdom to understand the true cost of power. The offer hung in the air between them, heavy with possibility and danger. Elena thought of her family back on Earth, of the life she'd built. But she also thought of humanity's potential, of all they could become if given the chance. If I accept, she said finally, I do it on one condition. Earth remains protected, regardless of what happens to me. The Weaver's form shifted, showing a pattern that somehow conveyed both approval and solemnity. Agreed. But remember, the Council's power is built on millions of years of manipulation and control. They will not relinquish it easily. Elena squared her shoulders. Then they'll learn what happens when they try to control humanity. The Weaver extended a thread of pure creation toward her. Your transformation will be witnessed by the cosmos itself. Are you ready? Elena took one last look at her human reflection in the window. I am. When their essences met, reality itself held its breath. Elena felt her consciousness expand beyond the confines of normal spacetime. She saw the threads of creation that bound all things together, understood the patterns that shaped existence itself. Knowledge older than stars flooded her mind, and with it came power, the power to weave and unravel reality itself. When the transformation ended, Elena Santos still stood in the conference room. She looked human, save for her eyes, which now held the depth of space itself. But she knew she had become something more. Humanity's shield against the coming storm, and perhaps the force that would reshape the very nature of galactic society. The Weaver's presence faded, leaving her with a final warning. The Council will sense your transformation. They will test you, try to eliminate you before you master your powers. Remember, every attempt they make to destroy you will only strengthen your connection to the cosmic weave. Elena looked at her hands, seeing both flesh and the threads of reality that composed it. Let them try. It's time the Council learned that humanity isn't just another species to be controlled. As if in response to her words, the ship's sensors detected multiple quantum signatures appearing at the edge of the solar system. The Council's advanced scouts had arrived. The game was about to begin. The Council's game. The Galactic Council's chamber resembled a living nebula, its walls shifting with colors no human eye was meant to perceive. Elena Santos walked through the grand entrance, her diplomatic uniform unchanged, but her presence causing ripples in reality itself. The Council members, representing the 12 most powerful species in the galaxy, watched from their elevated positions, their forms as varied as the stars themselves. Humanity sends a single representative. The voice belonged to Archive Mind HFY, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix. How? Characteristic of your species' limitations. Elena smiled, feeling the threads of reality hum around her. Every Council member radiated ancient power, but she could see the corruption in their patterns, the way they'd twisted the natural flow of creation to maintain their control. Sometimes, she said, her voice carrying undertones that made several Council members shift uncomfortably. One is enough. High Commander Vex of the Coronary Empire leaned forward, his biomechanical form casting fractured shadows. You stand before beings who shepherded civilizations while your ancestors were learning to make fire. Show proper respect. Elena felt the commander attempt to exert his species' famous psychic pressure. The attack would have crushed a normal human mind. Instead, she gently caught the threads of his power and wove them into a pattern that sent the pressure back at him. Vex jerked back, his mechanical components whirring in distress. Fascinating, purred Ambassador Nixis of the Shade Collective, her void-black form rippling. The human has been modified. I am humanity's chosen representative, Elena stated, letting her diplomatic training guide her words while her new senses mapped the chamber's defenses. We understand the Council has concerns about Earth's development. Concerns? First Speaker Athraxis unfurled his crystalline wings, sending cascades of light through the chamber. Your species achieved quantum manipulation and consciousness transfer in less than a century. Such unchecked advancement threatens galactic stability. Elena walked to the center of the chamber, each step leaving momentary echoes in multiple dimensions. And how many species have you destroyed in the name of stability? How many civilizations showed threatening potential? The chamber's temperature dropped as the council members exchanged glances. Elena felt their defensive patterns activating, subtle weapons woven into reality itself coming online. Choose your next words carefully. Human, archive mind, pulsed with barely contained energy. Accusations without evidence are unwise. Elena reached out with her new senses, grabbing threads of time and space. The chamber's walls suddenly reflected not their present gathering, but scenes from history, countless civilizations rising, showing promise, then mysteriously falling to carefully orchestrated catastrophes. Evidence. She let the images play out, like the Nexeri, whose star suddenly went nova just as they developed faster than light travel, or the Kaldrax, whose planetary core mysteriously destabilized after they started experimenting with dimensional physics. Enough. High Commander Vex slammed his mechanical fist down. This chamber is not a forum for conspiracy theories. Elena released the temporal threads, letting the walls return to normal. No, it's a court where you've appointed yourselves both judges and executioners. But humanity will not quietly accept your verdict. You believe your species can challenge the combined might of the Council. Ambassador Nixis laughed, the sound like dying stars. Perhaps a demonstration of our power is needed. Reality twisted as hidden weapons activated. Quantum disruptors, temporal erasers, consciousness scramblers. The Council had millennia to perfect their methods of elimination. Energy beams that could unmake planets converged on Elena's position. But where they expected to find Ash, they found her standing untouched. The attack's energy were woven into a complex pattern that orbited her like a personal galaxy. Impressive toys, Elena said, examining the pattern she created. Let me show you what true creation can do. She released the captured energy, but instead of destruction, it formed into a perfect holographic representation of Earth's solar system. Humanity doesn't seek to threaten galactic stability. We seek to explore, to learn, to grow. But we will not be caged. The Council does not issue warnings twice. First Speaker Athraxis declared, though Elena could sense uncertainty in his pattern. Either accept our guidance or face the consequences. Elena let the hologram dissolve, each point of light returning to the threads of reality. I have a counter-proposal. The Council will recognize Earth's sovereignty and our right to develop without interference. In return, we won't have to demonstrate just how much humanity has learned about unraveling the foundations of power. You dare threaten us? Vex's mechanical body hummed with weapon systems coming online. Not a threat, Elena corrected, watching the threads of probability weave around them. An opportunity. The galaxy is changing. You can either adapt or discover just how fragile your control really is. She felt their attacks before they launched them. Wavelengths designed to erase consciousness, beams that would unwrite her from reality itself. This time, she didn't just defend. With each attack, she grabbed the threads of their power and began weaving something new. The Council members watched in horror as their carefully constructed weapons transformed into a tapestry of light that filled the chamber. Within it, they saw possibilities. Futures where species collaborated instead of being controlled, where diversity of thought and development enriched the galaxy instead of threatening it. This is what you fear, Elena said softly. Not just humanity, but change itself. You've spent so long maintaining your pattern that you've forgotten the beauty of creation. The human speaks blasphemy. Archive mind, Kexai declared, but Elena sensed the uncertainty in its energy matrix. I speak truth, and you know it. Consider my proposal carefully. Humanity won't be the last species to challenge your authority, but we might be the first to show you a better way." With that, Alina turned and walked toward the chamber's exit. Behind her, she heard the council members erupting in argument, their carefully maintained unity showing the first cracks in millions of years. Just before she reached the door, Ambassador Nixus called out, "You've changed the pattern. The council will respond." Alina paused, letting them see as her form briefly shifted, showing glimpses of the cosmic power she now wielded. "I look forward to it. After all, adaptation is what humanity does best." As she left the chamber, Alina felt the threads of probability shifting. The council would retaliate. Their pride and fear would accept nothing less. But with each attempt to stop her, they would only make her stronger. The real game was just beginning. Threads of power. The assassination attempts began 3 days after Alina's confrontation with the council. She stood in her quarters aboard the ESS Hyperion, watching as a quantum-tipped missile, designed to erase its target from reality itself, approached her ship. The council hadn't bothered to hide their involvement. This was as much about sending a message as it was about eliminating her. "Fascinating design," she murmured, reaching out with her senses to examine the weapon's pattern. The missile's quantum core pulsed with enough power to unwrite a small moon from existence. Instead of evading, Alina extended her consciousness into the threads of reality surrounding the projectile. With a gentle twist of thought, she removed its pattern. The missile transformed, its destructive energy converting into a cascade of harmless light that painted the void with colors no human had ever seen before. "Captain," Lieutenant Chen's voice came through the comm, tight with concern. "We're detecting multiple temporal anomalies forming around the ship." Alina smiled. She could see them, wounds in space-time engineered by the Council's most advanced weapons. They were attempting to trap the Hyperion between moments, freezing it in an eternal instant where rescue would be impossible. "No need for concern, Lieutenant," she replied, her voice steady as she reached out to touch the temporal distortions. "Sometimes the best defense is to learn from your attackers." She grasped the threads of time itself, studying how the Council had woven them into weapons. With each attempt to trap her, they were inadvertently teaching her their techniques, showing her the accumulated knowledge of millions of years of manipulation. The temporal anomalies collapsed, transformed into pockets of accelerated time that her ship now rode like a cosmic wave. The Hyperion jumped 3 sectors in an instant, covering a distance that should have taken weeks. "Remarkable," a familiar voice said behind her. Alina turned to find the void-black form of Ambassador Nixus materializing in her quarters. "You're learning faster than we anticipated." "The Council's hospitality has been very educational," Alina replied, noting how the ambassador's form rippled with barely contained power. "Though I suspect this isn't a social call." Nixus moved closer, her form casting shadows that seemed to swallow light. "You've caused quite the stir. Half the Council wants you eliminated immediately. The other half wants to study you first, then eliminate you. And what do you want, Ambassador?" "To understand." Nixus circled Alina, her void eyes searching. "You're not just wielding power, you're transforming it. Every weapon we send, every trap we lay, you don't just survive them. You change them into something new." Alina felt the hidden pattern in Nix's words, the subtle weaving of a consciousness probe designed to slip past her defenses. She let it come, curious to see what the ambassador would learn. The moment Nix's probe touched Alina's mind, the ambassador recoiled, her form destabilizing briefly. "Impossible," she whispered. "You're connected to the fabric of creation itself." "As are you," Alina replied, gesturing to the threads of reality that bound all things. "The difference is, I work with the pattern. The Council tries to control it." "Control is necessary," Nixus hissed, but Alina sensed uncertainty in her pattern. "Without our guidance, chaos would consume the galaxy." "Is that what you truly believe?" Alina waved her hand, and the walls of her quarters became transparent, showing the cosmos beyond. "Look at the natural order. Stars birth planets. Planets birth life. Life evolves, adapts, creates. The pattern doesn't need control. It needs freedom to grow. Nixus was silent for a long moment, watching the dance of creation playing out before them. The others won't accept this perspective. They've invested too much in maintaining the current order. Then they'll learn the hard way. Elena turned to face the ambassador fully. Every attack makes me stronger. Every weapon they send teaches me more about how they've twisted reality to serve them. How long before I learn enough to undo everything they've built? The threat wasn't idle. They both knew it. Elena could already see the weaknesses in the Council's carefully constructed power structure, the strain points where reality itself fought against their control. They're preparing something larger, Nixus said finally. Something that even you might not be able to survive. Elena smiled, and for a moment her human form flickered, showing the cosmic force she'd become. That's the fundamental difference between humanity and the Council, Ambassador. You see survival as the ultimate goal. We see it as just the beginning. Nixus moved toward the wall, her form beginning to fade. For what it's worth, I hope you prove me wrong about chaos. She paused. The weapon will be ready in 3 days. In the meantime, expect more conventional attempts on your life. After the ambassador vanished, Elena reached out with her senses, feeling the threads of probability shifting around her ship. The Council's lesser weapons were already approaching: temporal bombs, consciousness scramblers, reality inverters, each one a potential death sentence for a normal being. Each one a new lesson for her. Lieutenant Chen, she called over the comm. Plot a course for the Nexari system. The dead system, Captain. There's nothing there but a supernova remnant. Exactly. Elena watched as the first wave of weapons approached. It's time the galaxy learned what really happened to them. And it's time the Council learned that their secrets won't stay buried forever. As the Hyperion engaged its quantum drive, Elena began preparing for what was to come. The Council's ultimate weapon didn't frighten her. What concerned her was ensuring that when she revealed the truth of their rule, the galaxy would be ready for the chaos that would follow. The threads of reality hummed around her, singing with possibilities. Change was coming, whether the Council was ready or not. Unraveling truth. The Nexari system's remains hung in space like a cosmic wound. Where a vibrant civilization once flourished, only the ghostly shells of shattered planets remained, orbiting the dense corpse of their star. Elena stood on the Hyperion's observation deck, weaving threads of time and space between her fingers. Tell me, Archive Mind XC, she said to the seemingly empty room, how many of your fellow Council members actually know what happened here? The crystalline entity materialized, its matrix pulsing with agitation. Your presence in this system violates Council law. Because you're afraid of what I'll find. Elena pulled on a particular thread, and suddenly the space around them shifted. The devastation reversed itself, planets reformed, the star rekindled, and the bustling civilization of the Nexari loomed once more in temporal echo. Stop this, Tai demanded, its crystalline form vibrating with barely contained energy. Why? Because it shows the truth. Elena walked through the holographic recreation of a Nexari city, its spiral towers reaching toward the stars. They were beautiful, weren't they? Their quantum theories were particularly elegant. Another century, and they might have surpassed even the Council's understanding. They were dangerous. His voice carried the weight of Archidons. Their experiments with reality manipulation were controlled and careful. Elena interrupted, pulling another thread to show Nexari scientists at work. Their only crime was understanding too much. They were close to discovering what you really are, weren't they? What the Council really did to gain its power. The holographic scene changed, showing the moment of the system's destruction. But this time, Elena's powers revealed what history had hidden. The Council's quantum weapons, carefully disguised to look like a natural stellar event. You didn't just kill them, Elena said softly, watching the atrocity play out. You erased them so completely that no one would ever know what they discovered. But the pattern remembers. Reality itself remembers. You understand nothing. Kexi's form expanded, filling the observation deck with crystalline fractals. The stability of the galaxy is built on genocide. Elena waved her hand, and the temporal playback shifted to show other civilizations. The Calderacs, the Zenith Collective, the Quantum Harmonists, each one approaching a crucial discovery, each one mysteriously destroyed. But that's not even the worst of it, is it? She turned to face Xi fully. Tell me about the precursors. The archive mind's form flickered violently. That knowledge is forbidden, because it reveals how the Council really gained its power. Elena reached out and grabbed threads of reality that even Tsai couldn't see. The precursors weren't destroyed by a cosmic accident. They were the first civilization to truly understand the pattern of creation. And the beings who would become the Council murdered them and stole their technology. We did what was necessary. Kexi's voice carried the first hint of uncertainty she'd ever heard from a Council member. Their power was too great to be allowed to continue. No, Elena corrected. Their power was too great for you to control. So you killed them, stole their understanding of reality's pattern, and spent millions of years ensuring no other species could discover your crime. She pulled the threads tighter, and the observation deck filled with one final scene. The true moment of the Council's birth. 12 species, united not by wisdom or righteousness, but by fear and greed, using stolen precursor technology to elevate themselves to godlike status. Your entire empire is built on murder and theft, Elena said, letting the temporal echoes fade. Every species you've destroyed, every civilization you've erased, all to protect your stolen power. And what do you plan to do with this knowledge? Kai's form had contracted, its confidence shaken. Release it to the galaxy. The chaos would be unimaginable. No, Elena smiled, and for a moment her human form flickered, showing the cosmic force she'd become. I'm going to do something much worse. I'm going to give every species the chance you stole from them. She reached out, not to attack, but to grasp the very threads that maintained the Council's control over reality. His form vibrated in alarm as it realized what she was about to do. You can't. The pattern was never yours to control. With a single thought, Elena began to unravel the Council's carefully constructed locks on reality itself. Across the galaxy, species would begin to feel it, the barriers to their understanding falling away, the natural flow of creation returning. Your weapon won't save you, she told the terrified archive mind. Nothing can stop this now. Hexi's form began to fade, retreating to warn the Council. You've doomed us all. No, Elena said to the empty room. I've freed them. She felt the Council's ultimate weapon approaching, a device built from corrupted precursor technology, designed to erase not just her, but the very concept of her existence from reality. Let them come, she thought. Every thread they'd woven, every lock they'd placed on reality, every crime they'd hidden. It was all unraveling. The pattern was returning to its natural state. The real question wasn't whether she would survive their weapon. The question was whether the Council would survive what came after. The galaxy was awakening, and this time, no one would be able to stop it. The final pattern. The Council's weapon arrived as a tear in reality itself, a void that negated not just matter and energy, but the very concepts of existence. The massive device, built from corrupted precursor technology, hung in space like a black wound in the fabric of the universe, its presence so profound that nearby stars dimmed. Elena stood on the bridge of the Hyperion, watching as the weapon began its approach. Around her, reality shuddered as the Council poured all their stolen power into this final attempt to maintain control. Captain, Lieutenant Chen's voice was steady despite the impossible readings on his instruments. The void is consuming everything in its path. Even light itself can't escape. Evacuate the ship, Elena ordered, her eyes reflecting the cosmic forces gathering around them. Get everyone to a safe distance. With respect, Captain, we're not leaving you. Elena turned to face her crew, these humans who had stood with her through everything. In each of them, she could see the threads that made humanity special: courage, loyalty, and an unbending will to face the impossible. This isn't a battle you can fight, she said softly. What comes next will rewrite the very nature of reality. Before they could protest further, she gently wove the threads around them, teleporting the entire crew to safety aboard Earth's nearest outpost. She would not let them die for her fight. The void weapon pulsed, and Elena felt the Council's combined power behind it. The accumulated might of millions of years of stolen knowledge and suppressed civilizations. Impressive, she said into the quantum comm, knowing the Council would hear. You've taken the Precursor's understanding of creation and turned it into the ultimate weapon of destruction. How very typical. You left us no choice. First Speaker Athraxis' voice echoed through space itself. Your actions threaten everything we've built. You mean everything you've stolen. Elena began gathering her power, drawing on her connection to the true pattern of creation. Did you really think you could control this forever? That you could keep stealing the future from every species that evolved? The void weapon fired, sending a beam of pure negation toward her ship. But instead of evading, Elena stepped forward, her human form blazing with cosmic energy. You never understood, she said, reaching out to touch the beam of destruction. The pattern isn't meant to be controlled. It's meant to be free. Where the negation beam met her touch, something remarkable happened. Instead of destruction, there was creation. Elena took the Council's corrupted power and began reweaving it, returning it to its original purpose. No, the combined voices of the Council rang out as they realized what she was doing. That power is ours. This power belongs to everything that exists, Elena corrected, continuing her work. And it's time it was returned. With each thread she rewove, knowledge began flowing back into the galaxy. Species that had been kept deliberately ignorant suddenly found their mental barriers falling away. Civilizations that had been stuck in technological stasis felt their creativity unleashed. The Council poured more power into their weapon, desperately trying to stop what was happening. But they had made a fatal mistake. They had shown Elena exactly how they had twisted reality's pattern. Now she knew precisely how to unravel their work. Your reign ends today, Elena declared, her form now pure energy as she connected directly with the pattern of creation. But unlike you, I won't destroy what I can't control. I'll set it free. With a final surge of power, she completed her work. The void weapon imploded, its corrupted energy transformed into a wave of pure creation that swept across the galaxy. Where it passed, species felt their natural connection to the universe restored. The Council's chambers, built on stolen precursor technology, began to crumble as their artificial hold on reality failed. What have you done? Archive Mind X's voice was thick with horror. The pattern. It's changing. No, Elena corrected, resuming her human form as the wave of change continued to spread. It's healing. For the first time in millions of years, it's becoming what it was always meant to be. Across the galaxy, species began to awaken to their true potential. The barriers the Council had placed in their collective minds crumbled, leaving them free to grow, to create, to evolve as nature intended. This is chaos. High Commander Vex rage. You've destroyed order itself. I've destroyed your order, Elena agreed. But look at what's replacing it. Through the quantum sensors of every ship in the galaxy, they could all see it, the pattern of reality reforming itself, not into rigid controlled structure the Council had maintained, but into something organic, beautiful, and free. The Council members found their stolen power fading, returning to the pattern from which it had been ripped. They were becoming what they had always feared, just another part of the cosmic dance, no more or less important than any other species. What happens now? Ambassador Nixis asked, her void form diminished but stable. Elena looked out at the changed galaxy, feeling the threads of possibility weaving new futures. Now, now every species gets what you stole from them. A chance to find their own path. To grow, to learn, to make mistakes, and to achieve wonders. And what of humanity? The question came from first speaker Athraxis, his once mighty form now simply one pattern among many. Elena smiled, feeling Earth's threads burning bright with potential. We'll do what we've always done. Explore, adapt, and help others do the same. But this time, without artificial limits placed on any of us. The pattern of reality settled into its new form, vibrant with possibilities that had been locked away for millions of years. Species across the galaxy began to wake up to their true potential, their minds and spirits free for the first time in countless generations. Elena felt the change in her own being as well. She was still connected to the pattern, still its avatar, but now she was part of something greater, not a controller of reality, but a guardian of its freedom to evolve. As the Hyperion's crew returned to their ship, Elena looked out at the transformed galaxy and felt a deep sense of satisfaction. The Council's age of control was over. The age of freedom had begun. And humanity, as always, would be right there at the frontier, ready to face whatever wonders and challenges the infinite pattern had in store.